All right, what's going on, everybody? So I thought I would encourage a lot of you because many people, you may or may not realize it, but you're going through a season for which you are being persecuted. And quite frankly, a lot of people, they're being mocked, they're being scorned. And whether it's your fault or not, whether it's a personal issue like divorce, like being excommunicated by your family for various reasons, a lot of people I've been reading and giving testimony to on their false accusations of just various life circumstances because of some problem that you are going through personally, or whether it's at the highest order, talking about political things, talking about the truth movement, talking about, I don't know, medical exposure, talking about political, social justice exposure. I call it the perception of reality, and just people standing up for what they believe and other people going against it, thinking that that is absolutely baloney and false, and that is not how they perceive what is going on in the world. And so whatever it is, guys, I want to encourage you because just like Jesus, I was reviewing some of his stories, right? And everyone knows the story, but just the depth of how much he was mocked and scorned. And I just want to review 3 times because it was very heartbreaking if you really picture it. And I just want to go through this because many people watching, you're either going through it or you don't realize it, but you are literally one of these people that are in this story. And if you were to be plopped down into the time that Jesus lived in, you may say to yourself, no, I would never be one of those, and mock him and scorn him. But you don't understand the ugliness that is coming out of your heart because of just this aspect of perspective. A lot of people, they don't understand the full story. If you were told the full story and you really believed it, then you wouldn't be sitting here mocking and scorning, just like with the people. The first time or major time that he was mocked and scorned was with the Sanhedrin, referencing Mark 14:65 or Luke 22:63. He was blindfolded, beaten, and mocked, and people were telling him, prophesy, who hit you, right, during this time? And the people that were holding him or guarding him, a lot of people saying that it was the chief priests and the officers of the temple, the guards, the elders mentioned there earlier in the chapter, just looking at him and just saying, prophesy, who hit you? And referring to all the words that Jesus has ever said before. And because in this circumstance, they looked at him, they saw him being beaten and overtaking him and just saying, hey, do something about it, not understanding the context, not understanding the full story of what's going on. And the second time, when he was condemned by Pontius Pilate and he was flogged and beaten by the Roman soldiers. And then famously, he was clothed in scarlet or purple and was given a thorn of crowns. And during that time, even the guards in an anti-coronation mocking him, saying, hail, King of the Jews. This is the King of the Jews, not knowing what they were doing in the mockery of Christ's kingship. They spat on him, they struck him, and they pierced him, and just all the wickedness of what they're doing in their ignorance, because they thought they knew what was going on, that this guy who's been preaching and teaching, doing all these miracles, and they only saw from their linear perspective of what was in front of them, not knowing the full message. And the third time, when he was on the cross, Mark 15:29-30, talking, referring to people that were passing by, hurling insults. They only saw a snapshot, just a little glimpse of what was going on from their eyes, of what was in front of them, and pointing out that the chief priests, the teachers of the law, all these guys that were smart, they knew their stuff, they were in positions of power, they mocked them among themselves, saying, he saved others, but he can't save himself. Let this Messiah, this King of Israel, come down from the cross that we may see and believe. And they were heaping insults at him, referring to Mark 15:32, and even the Roman soldiers in Luke 23:36-37 had mocked him, coming up and offering him sour wine, saying that you're the King of the Jews, save yourself. And these guys, all of them, everybody came just saying, listen, you said this, but you can't even save yourself? Come down and save yourself if you are the chosen of God, if you are the Christ. And even the criminal on the cross, referring to Luke 23:39. He was there and saying, aren't you the Messiah? Save yourself and us. So all these guys coming together, Jews, Gentiles, governors, criminals, scribes, commoners, everybody in a chorus of blasphemy. And it's sad because they didn't know. They had no context. They only saw what was in front of them. And I say this because, yes, Jesus, he went through the ultimate sacrifice. He went through the ultimate suffering that nobody can ever come close to. But even then, Jesus tells us that you will suffer for my name's sake. And I say this because many people, you have context, you understand, and you are given by the Lord through the Holy Spirit revelation into something, and you're standing up for truth. You're standing up for the story that whether it's personal, whether it's some righteousness or something of an event or whatever that story is for you, you understand and you know, and you have, I don't want to say the full story, but you know more than other people. And of course, Christ knows the full picture of what's going on. So I say this because a lot of people, they're going to laugh at you. A lot of people, they're going to take snippets, words, different things. They're going to try to see it from their own angle. They're going to spin it in such a way. They look at your life, their story. I get this all the time too, even if you check my comments and various people. This kind of stuff is happening to people all over the world for whatever story, whatever circumstance you're going through. But I'm saying this as a word of encouragement because you have to persevere. You cannot cave to other people throwing rocks at you, throwing stones, and just saying all these different things, because these people, they will have their time, their day. And I want to say this also to the small, maybe minority that is mocking, and I get these all the time, but many other people, or maybe you are in a position for which maybe you don't mock me, but you have an other area of life for which you're mocking somebody else. You're mocking a group of people, a person, a circumstance, a situation, maybe somebody in power, in influence. You don't really know the full story, but you have been told these things. Whatever it is, you have to humble yourself. You have to step back, because many people, you'll say, oh yeah, no, I wouldn't do the same thing that these Sanhedrin and these teachers and these guys would do if I was in this time. But you don't realize that your heart, right? The posture of your heart is such that it's exuding your flesh and your anger and your emotions, and you have no self-control. So I'm not here to say, oh, I'm defending myself. Most people are a lot of the mockers are gonna be like, oh, he's trying to defend himself. I'm saying that many people in this hour, there's something you don't know about their story. There's something you don't fully understand about why some people believe conspiracy, quote unquote. They believe their viewpoint. They believe that this health reason or this political reason or whatever it is going on. And for other people, they don't want to believe your story, that you were falsely accused of rape, you were falsely accused of some reason that you had cheated, or whatever that personal issue is. And if you were to really contextualize this, like think about it for a second. Let's say you're placed into this circumstance back a couple thousand years ago. You witnessed this dude coming out healing, saying all these things. I'm the Messiah. I'm the bread of life, all these things. And you got so angry because you saw just this moment where he didn't save himself. You didn't expect it to go the way you thought it would go. You looked at this whole situation, and if you were honest with yourself, you would be in this exact same situation, pointing at Jesus, mocking him, saying words. And if you think that you're not one of these people, then what you have to do in this hour is for anybody, whether it's me or many other people that you point fingers at, you have to literally stop and just say, you know what? Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's something that I don't fully understand. But even if, let's say they're wrong, even if somebody is needing to be called out, whatever it is, the fact that you are literally spewing this negativity out of your mouth, pointing fingers and saying, hey, you're wrong, hey, blah, 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 and saying all these negative things, you are literally contributing negativity. You're literally contributing your flesh to the situation. I understand there's righteous anger and various things, but you have to understand whether it's sin or not sin versus whether it's the full information of what you don't know. The words he says, how he says it, other perceptions of reality. Maybe you don't understand a story. You don't really know the person's backstory, right? And so if that's the case, then all you can do is step back and say, you know what? I may not know, right? Unless it's clear-cut sin or not sin. If it's something that they're saying and you don't know the context, you have to step back. But if you are looking at other situations, your family, your friends, other politicians, other leaders, other influencers, and you have the tendency to take that finger and just start pointing, I would encourage you to take a step back. And for many others, the vast majority of you watching this, you will be persecuted. And what you have to realize is that as I'm reminded of just these three instances of how Jesus was persecuted and so innocently tortured and going through all of this, how sad was it? How painful it would be to witness this, knowing the full story that he is falsely accused of these things, and he was and is the Messiah. If you know that, right, then for your story, your life, you're getting a glimpse of this, but realize that you need to continue standing your ground. You need to continue seeking the Lord through all of what's going on. And yes, we're flawed. We may say and do certain things that is a little bit off. And yes, it's not going to help the situation, but God knows. He forgives. He allows grace and mercy to be poured out. He knows your full story. And so don't let that standard of like, oh, I can't mess up ever, or else that more people are going to hate on me. Whatever that is, let it go and just continue living out the way that you believe the Lord is leading you, because this is the hour for which many people will be tested. Many people are going to fail, and many others, your character is going to be built up. And so do not mind the mockers, the persecution, the issues that are going on in your life right now. So whatever level you're at, right, take this to the Lord and be encouraged, because this is a time for many people where your character is being tested, and God's going to reward and God's going to punish. God's going to deal with every single person, each to their own. So God bless you guys. Be encouraged. Love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.